Scott Weiland remains one of rock's most dynamic and charismatic frontmen. Even 7 years after his death, there is no living frontman who matches his chaotic and simultaneously magnetic energy. While Jeff Gu has done an excellent job at maintaining what Weiland established in Stone Temple Pilots, he is more the exception than the rule. Despite all of Weiland's problems in both Stone Temple Pilots and Velvet Revolver, he was an extremely difficult frontman to replace. Stone Temple Pilots got lucky finding a frontman so naturally similar to Weiland, musically and artistically. Velvet Revolver was much less so, despite making deliberate efforts to replace him. In this video, I will explore 5 singers who were in talks or attempted to replace Weiland in Velvet Revolver, and 5 that I personally thought could have been chosen for Stone Temple Pilots, had Jeff Gu been unavailable. Let's get to it. While it's commonly known that Chester Bennington briefly fronted Stone Temple Pilots after Scott Weiland's dismissal, what most people don't know is he was thought to sing for Velvet Revolver at some point as well. In 2008, almost immediately after Scott Weiland was ousted from Velvet Revolver, Slash invited Bennington to play a concert he was hosting. While Bennington was unable to attend, nonetheless a rumor spread that he was to be the new singer for Velvet Revolver. Bennington immediately squashed these rumors, highlighting his friendship with Weiland as a notable reason for him never committing to a project on Velvet Revolver's caliber. He did say he would be more open to the opportunity, provided Linkin Park's schedule had availability, and that if he did not know Weiland on such a personal level. Slash would later collaborate with Bennington again on a song called Crazy, which is unreleased from his first solo album. Crazy provides insight as to what Velvet Revolver may have sounded like with Chester Bennington as the frontman.
I got the devil knocking at my door, trying to sell me back my soul. 'Cause I'm one tough son of a bitch and you don't want me anymore. I cannot find my peace of mind, I'm sick and tired. I'm crazy, baby, never find what I'm looking for. Crazy, baby, never find what I'm looking for.
While Bennington joining Velvet Revolver would have been a questionable decision given his commitments to Linkin Park, who were still at peak popularity in 2008, it is a shame he did not collaborate more with Slash beyond Crazy. Crazy itself would have been a pleasant gift to Stone Temple Pilots during Bennington's brief tenure with the band, as it would have fit in perfectly with High Rise, as well as the later material they would record for Butterfly. The Slash feature would have been a callback to Bennington's first show with STP, which also featured Slash and Duff McKagan. Hopefully the completed song will be released eventually.
I fell to pieces and I'm still falling. Every time I'm falling down, all alone I fall to pieces.
Myles Kennedy was also considered for the position of Velvet Revolver at some point. While Myles insists that he was never officially asked to sing for Velvet Revolver post the departure of Weiland, he did say that he was approached to join twice. The first time was while the band was still in its infancy, back when Velvet Revolver was simply known as The Project by the media. At this point in time, Myles was sent a list of demos to sing over by Slash, Duff McKagan, and Matt Sorum. However, due to depression and burnout, he ultimately never finished the demos. In time, he would be approached by the former members of Creed to complete Alter Bridge. The second time was right around Weiland's dismissal from the group, but once again, Myles declined. Several years later, Myles, much like Bennington, would also be approached to sing a song for Slash's self-titled album. The collaboration worked so well that Myles became the full-time singer for Slash's band, and has since recorded 4 full-length albums with Slash, and performed several Guns N' Roses songs with Slash, Duff McKagan, and Steven Adler at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Travis Meeks of Days of the New was a serious contender for Velvet Revolver at one point in time, so much so that it was all but officially confirmed. However, a disgruntled former employee of Meeks would later oust Travis's frequent auditions and collaborations with Slash & Co. This seemingly ruined his chances for the gig, and it's unknown if this violated some type of non-disclosure agreement. From the research I found online, this is what seemingly cost Meeks his chance at fronting the band. In subsequent years, Meeks has later said he's grateful he never got the position, as he felt that he would have been out of place in Velvet Revolver, and that Weiland was born for the role. He stressed the rock star image Velvet Revolver needed that Weiland embodied more naturally than Meeks' more grounded and humble presentation. About 4 songs were written and recorded, which are currently in Meeks' possession, as well as a handful of Days of the Newfounds. However, it is unknown when these songs will ever see the light of day, or if they ever will. Much like Travis Meeks, Josh Todd was also very close to becoming the frontman for Velvet Revolver. Todd and his fellow Buck Cherry bandmate Keith Nelson were the first musicians to form a semi-solid lineup with Slash, Sorum, and McKagan. In this time frame, the band was playing shows under the tentative moniker Cherry Roses, and had extremely productive writing sessions. These sessions were so fruitful that one of the songs would later appear on Contraband as Dirty Little Thing. Dirty Little Thing is the only song on Contraband to be from the Cherry Roses lineup, as Keith Nelson has a writing credit for the track. Josh Todd's presentation very much calls back to the rockstar image Guns N' Roses presented, as well as the stereotypical rockstar image from much of the 80s. His voice being this raspy hybrid between Axl Rose, Myles Kennedy, and Steven Tyler. Ultimately, the decision to boot both Todd and Nelson from the final lineup came from Slash. While Slash said he enjoyed playing under the Cherry Roses moniker, when he would revisit the sessions or live clips, he couldn't stand Todd's vocals. Something just felt off about it enough for him to dismiss Todd and move along. As for Nelson, Slash felt he lacked enough identity as a rhythm guitarist to really balance the band out, an issue that was eventually remedied upon discovering Dave Kushner. Perhaps this nagging intuition was a saving grace on Slash's part. Buck Cherry's Lit Up is also from the Cherry Roses session, and according to some fan forums, the song Crazy Bitch was also put together when Josh Todd and Keith Nelson were intended to be in Velvet Revolver. Just think, instead of All the Pieces, Velvet Revolver could have been the band that made this.
Hey, you're crazy bitch, but you fuck so
What
good
the hell
all
is
the
even
time.
that?
Doing you all night, scratches all down my back, give me right all night. You're crazy bitch, but you fuck so good I'm on top of it when I dream. Doing you all night, scratches all down my back, and give me right on. Take it off.
Corey Taylor is the most recent and notable frontman to be considered for Velvet Revolver. Much like Travis Meeks and Josh Todd, Taylor reached the point of recording music with Slash & Co. Supposedly 10 full-length tracks were made with Taylor and the band, making this among the most lucrative known sessions Velvet Revolver had with a singer besides Scott Weiland. However, Slash ultimately vetoed the idea once again. Similarly to his opinion on Josh Todd's vocals, Slash felt Taylor's style of singing was too out of place with the sound Velvet Revolver needed. This recurring theme highlights how distinct and integral Weiland's sound was to Slash's musical concept for the band. Taylor apparently took the rejection very personally, as he would speak negatively of Weiland multiple times since Velvet Revolver passed on him. While both Slash and Taylor have said it's unlikely any of the songs from these sessions will ever be released, several songs in Corey Taylor's solo album CMFT have a hard rock style similar to what Velvet Revolver had done. If anything, CMFT gives insight as to what the band could have sounded like had Corey Taylor joined. Disclaimer: at this point in the list, I absolutely want to stress that none of these men were ever considered to sing for Stone Temple Pilots in the same way the 5 for Velvet Revolver were. While Stone Temple Pilots auditioned many singers post the loss of Weiland and departure of Bennington, none beyond a handful of names have ever been publicly confirmed. These 5 singers are just people that I think bear some natural similarity to Weiland, and or could easily blend into the DeLeo style songwriting.
You can see you are everything that you're mine. A pouring rain, a
Whitfield Crane has many similarities to Scott Weiland that could easily go unnoticed upon initial observation. While these similarities are not recognizable in Ugly Kid Joe, they are extremely apparent in Crane's supergroups. On Medication's debut album, Whitfield Crane shows off the range he learned from singing in Life of Agony. While this new enunciation was learned trying to match Mina Caputo's vocal range, it inadvertently matches Weiland's on several songs, especially on Walk Away, which mirrors Weiland's Bowie-esque phrasing that appeared multiple times in Stone Temple Pilots and Velvet Revolver. Other examples can be seen in Loaded Gun, False Idol, Xanax, and Inside. While the Medication album would be sufficient enough to show Crane has the chops for Stone Temple Pilots, he goes a step further with Another Animal. Another Animal is a fascinating band, as the hybrid between Godsmack's style of hard rock, blending with Crane's love of classic metal, accidentally created an amazing grunge album. In fact, for many years I've always referred to Another Animal's record as the music of Alice in Chains, meeting the vocals of Stone Temple Pilots. While Crane would likely blend better with the heavier material from the DeLeo brothers, the playful nature of Ugly Kid Joe would add just enough balance to show he can match the energy of the DeLeo's more free-spirited albums as well. Ed Roland of Collective Soul is someone I'm surprised has never worked with the DeLeo brothers in any capacity. Collective Soul's vocals and style of writing as it is bears some semblance to Stone Temple Pilots. Songs such as Heavy and Tremble for My Beloved carry an energy very reminiscent of Weiland vocally. Musically, Collective Soul manages to carry a similar energy to Stone Temple Pilots as well. The aforementioned songs are notable in that they are hard rock, yet not harder than the heavier material by the DeLeos. It's almost like an edgier version of the sounds of Tiny Music and Purple, but not so edgy that it goes harder than anything off of Core or Number 4. Their self-titled album especially demonstrates these vocal and musical similarities, with Smashing Young Man and Where the River Flows. Additionally, Roland's influences match many of the influences of the DeLeos, something evident in his solo projects. His commitment to songwriting has amounted to 11 albums in his main band. It would make for a compelling record to see how his ideas bounce off the ideas of the DeLeo brothers. Mark Hennessy is another name that likely raises an eyebrow when collaborating with STP. However, as is the case with Whitfield Crane, upon further examination it makes more sense. The heavier and extreme music he made with Paw almost makes Core and Number 4 seem tame by comparison. His work in Paw more than demonstrates he possesses a vocal range to nail songs such as Sex Type Thing, Cracker Man, and Dead and Bloated. Additionally, Hennessy provides another essential similarity with Weiland I have yet to discuss in detail. That similarity is compelling lyricism. Hennessy, much like Weiland, is a natural poet, and is more than capable of telling a story through song. Lastly, his love of country music parallels that of the DeLeo brothers, which is a natural pairing of influences. Mark Hennessy has sung over music reminiscent of punk, grunge, country, alternative, and even lounge music. He is easily one of the most overlooked singers of his era, and would no doubt be a fascinating asset to Stone Temple Pilots.
Falling faster in my car. It's time to take her home. Easy in this conscious state. Time to take her out and ease the day. The conversation. Time to take her home. Easy in this conscious state. Time to wait too long, to wait too long, to wait too long.
It's almost a shame Brett Scallions worked so hard to get the rights to the Fuel name back, as had he been able to hold out for several more years, I think he is someone Robert and Dean could have easily taken notice of. While his voice is slightly richer than Weiland's baritone, or alternative phrasings, he does come from the same genre as a contemporary. Additionally, his ability to take songs written by others, completely in the case of Carl Bell, and bring them to a new level shows his masterful interpretation of art, as well as his openness to collaboration. However, his original material is more than capable of standing alongside that of Stone Temple Pilots. The song Hey Mama off Fuel's Puppet Strings feels very much like a lost Stone Temple Pilots song, so much so that it provides an indirect answer to the what if one asks if it came to Scallions singing for STP. He has also covered Vaseline and Big Empty on multiple occasions, with his performance of the latter track highlighting how lovely his voice sounds over the chords of the DeLeo brothers.
One time a thing occurred to me. What's real and what's for sale? Look, kiss and try to take it all. Is it true? Is it weird? Certain things you can't see. Going blind out of reach. Somewhere in the Vaseline.
If there is one person that leaves me baffled as to why they've never worked with the DeLeo brothers, it is easily Vinnie Dombroski. Being that Sponge's debut record sounds very much like a companion piece to Purple, as well as the variety of genres and styles Dombroski explored in both Sponge and outside of Sponge, Dombroski is easily a parallel of Scott Weiland. Even his appearance has some callbacks to Scott, and his vocal range isn't too far off from Weiland's. In some ways, Dombroski is the less tragic version of Scott Weiland, as he managed to survive in the industry longer than the Stone Temple Pilots did, and got to explore a variety of outlets for the music he desired to create. His brief side project with Micah Inez, Sean Kenny, and Chris DeGarmo shows he has an understanding of the sounds the DeLeo brothers are acclimated with, be it in grunge or alternative rock. His consideration for replacing Lane Staley and Alice in Chains shows he at least has the potential to fill in the shoes for an all-star singer. Lastly, his commitment to songwriting is unmatched, as he has one of the richest and most unexplored discographies of any singer from the 1990s. As is the case with Brett Scallions, I hope he can create at least some body of work with the DeLeos eventually, but I rest assured that his work will continue to be compelling and unique, even if he is unable to. This is my list of 10 singers who almost or could have replaced Scott Weiland. The interesting thing about this list is I could have easily added another 5 off the top of my head. While Weiland himself is irreplaceable, I do believe there are many singers capable of creating interesting music with the DeLeo brothers. Perhaps, depending on how well this video does, I'll film a second part with other singers who the DeLeos have worked with in the past or are considered at some point in time. Are there any singers you thought matched Weiland's charisma? Are there any that you thought could have been compelling choices for Stone Temple Pilots? If so, let me know down in the comments below, and they might even appear in the next video. As always, be calm, be cool, and be collected, and we'll see you soon.